Hey guys, what's up? My hair is really big, but you want to know what's bigger are the lies that I'm about to read you right in front of your eyes. So I was scrolling on Twitter one day, and this is my Twitter, by the way, if you want to follow me. And I saw this article about a girl who transitioned into a trans man, and then she detransitioned. In the beginning, this article was sad to me because detransitioning just sounds sad. But what really bothered me are the things that are said in this article, because I don't think that some of them are true. And she just has some really bad things to say about transitioning. So you can literally just listen to this video. You don't even have to look at my stupid face, because it's just an article, so I'm going to be reading paragraphs and telling you why they're stupid. So this article starts off with this paragraph. I can't wrap my head around all that I've done to myself in the last 2 years, much less the help that some healthcare professionals have done to me. 2 years ago, I was a healthy, beautiful girl heading towards high school graduation. Before long, I turned into an overweight, pre-diabetic nightmare of a transgender man. Okay, so first of all, I too am a pre-diabetic nightmare of a trans man. I don't think that taking testosterone makes you pre-diabetic or diabetic at all. And if it does, let me know if I'm wrong. I personally don't know anyone, and I know a lot of trans people. I don't know one guy who was a pre-diabetic because of testosterone. From my earliest years, I was always different from other girls. I wore boy clothes and I played with boy toys. I was a classic tomboy. As I got older, I became romantically interested in other girls. In fact, with the exception of one guy I dated in high school, I exclusively dated girls. At the time, you wouldn't have been able to tell I was gay just from looking at me. I had long blonde hair, wore makeup, and carried myself rather femininely, but in my head, I knew I was gay, though I was more of a self-loathing gay. So, internalized homophobia. And actually, I think we all kind of start out with that. I started out with internalized transphobia because I didn't want to fucking admit that I was trans. That was fun. By the time I was 17, my parents had long divorced and I was living with my dad. That's when he found out I was dating girls. He kicked me out of the house saying it was his way or the highway. With little choice, I moved in with my mom. Soon after that, I cut my hair, a decision that grieved both my parents. But what happened next grieved them far more. At age 18, I started seeing a bunch of transgender men's success stories on Instagram. The trans men talked about how something had always felt off with them, and they said people couldn't tell that they had been the opposite sex after their transition. Their stories all seemed to have a happy ending, and it made me rather jealous. Okay, so this right here sounds like a you problem, not the transgender men of Instagram's problem. Just because you are envious of other people being happy doesn't mean what they're doing will also make you happy. Do you get what I'm trying to say? No? Awesome. Here I was getting frowned upon for holding hands with my girlfriend in public, feeling like I'm constantly being judged by everyone, while transgenders could date their same-sex significant other while looking like the opposite sex. I resented that and began to envy the transgenders. I looked into it for myself. The transgenders. That sounds like a movie. Also, just gonna point out there are trans people who are gay. I mean, a lot of gay people just can't hold hands in public because people are fucking awful, so that is sad. I tried my best to find books that discussed the issue critically and offered opposing views, but all I found were pro-transgender authors. That led me with the obvious conclusion, if all the experts were in favor of transition, why not do it? I feel like I'm doing an English assignment, like I'm correcting an essay, because it's not right. The books that exist about being transgender are usually by transgender people because they have success stories and they're sharing them so other trans people can read them, or people who just are interested in it can read them. I don't think the store would sell a book that's like, fuck the transgenders, I hate them. Yeah, I don't think that would be on the shelves, because if it was, then there would be a whole thing. Oh, actually there is a book about that. It's right here. It's written by Sam Collins. I didn't write that. I don't know where that came from. I didn't write that. Every passing day, I saw myself as this awful, I'm not gonna say that word, so you can read it for yourself. This unnatural lesbian. I hated that image and would much rather have been a guy dating girls. So I Googled how to make the transition to male. The first step was to find a therapist who would write me a letter to start me on male hormones. I soon found a therapist who said she would help me, and I told her I wanted to start hormones on my 19th birthday, which was only 5 weeks off. She required only a 1-hour appointment each week. That's hardly enough time to get to know someone. Yet those 5 hours got me an official letter that unlocked the doors for me to get hormone therapy and become a man. Now that just sounds like an idiot therapist. I saw my therapist for a year before I actually started doing things to fully transition. And also I knew that I was like trans when I was 8 or younger. So I waited like a pretty long time. I would say about 10 years. So I don't understand why she wanted to start hormones super quick. Not something that you dive right into. I now see a huge problem with how easy this was. If the therapist had gone slower and been more careful, she would have seen that I actually wasn't trans. But by this time, I'd seen the promotional videos. I was convinced that my gender is what was off, and the therapist guided me along and made me feel like a sex change is what I needed. By this point, my friends were also encouraging me to transition. "You're a hot girl," they said. "You'll be a hot guy too." Others were too afraid to say anything against it because after all, it was 2017. I never got pushback from anyone. So I was just thinking, why didn't she think this before? Why didn't she double think like, getting on testosterone, growing a beard, having just a lot of hair everywhere, and a deep voice. That is something that I've always wanted. I'm really shocked that the other people around her had so much impact on who she thought she was. Of course, if you tell your friends like, hey, I want to do this thing, and it's like seems like a good thing, they're gonna be like, yeah, do it. It's also not their place to say, yeah, that's not how you feel at all, so don't do that. So the next section of this article is long, and I'm just gonna sum it up. So she ended up going to another shitty doctor who actually prescribed her the testosterone and let her begin the hormone treatment. Didn't really care to instruct her on how to use the stuff, so she was just basically saying that was another red flag. So this next section is what made my blood thicken. This section is called destroying my own body. Here we go with these fucking terms, and I hate these terms because they're so stupid. You are always actively destroying your body. If you eat a hot dog, come on. If you have some alcohol, come on. If you're breathing in New York, you're destroying your body. So the injections of male hormones started to have their effect, but not in the way I expected. I started gaining more and more weight. My skin started to get more and more puffy and discolored. My blood started to thicken. The doctor's office was running blood work for me every 3 months, and it actually said I was now pre-diabetic, something that was totally new for me. My gender transition doctor said not to worry, but I decided to see another doctor for a second opinion. He said my thickening blood put me at a risk for a heart attack or stroke. She's making it sound like testosterone makes you obese and then you're gonna have a heart attack. Am I obese and having a heart attack? Yes. You gain more weight on testosterone because you gain more muscle mass. And all of us well-educated humans know that muscle weighs more than fat. Yes, everything about your body does change because you're taking a hormone, and hormones change your body. But you don't become a pre-diabetic, obese person with puffy, red skin, with blood as thick as gravy. That's just not how it works. I never heard of this until right now, and I don't want you guys to get scared about that stuff because that's not how it works. I did this to myself for almost a year. During that time, I gained 50 pounds and was miserable. I started feeling regret. Unfortunately, I was stuck. I had already declared to everyone that this is who I was. I changed my gender, and I had forced people to play along with it and call me by a new name, Jackson. At work, men had to be okay with their former female coworker now using the same restroom as them. Okay, 50 pounds? 50. That sounds like a you problem again. I don't know any transgender man who has gained 50 pounds. Finally, one day, my grandfather sat me down to talk about it. He was and will remain the only person whose opinion I will ever care about. With tears in his eyes, he asked me to stop. Everything in me wanted to keep going. That's what she said. Wow, what a fucking stupid joke. Yeah, F you, if you thought that was stupid. Not even because I wanted it anymore, but because of pride. What will people think? I thought. I had made everyone play along. If I suddenly stopped, what would I tell people? Those questions ate at me. And yet, there was my grandpa, the man I respect the most, pleading with me through tears. I couldn't just tell him no. That was a saving grace. I would have let this treatment kill me before admitting I'd screw up. His intervention may have saved my life. Kill you? Okay. This person just seems to have like a people-pleasing thing, because that whole article was just about, oh my god, but what are other people gonna think? What are they gonna think? What are they gonna think? Who cares? Yeah, injecting yourself with hormones are totally unnatural, I understand that. But so does popping pills, having alcohol, smoking, the food with chemicals that we eat. I could even say the air we breathe. That shit is gonna kill us because some of it's pretty bad for you. So many things can be detrimental to your health. This is one of the best quotes out of the article. So I decided to quit. And I quit cold turkey without seeing my doctor again. Why does this sound like an Alcoholics Anonymous success story? Yeah, bro, I actually quit testosterone and the withdrawals were insane. Yeah, I'm growing double D's now. It's fucking crazy. Not even 2 weeks after stopping hormone treatment, the withdrawals kicked in with a vengeance. I was soon on the floor groaning, crying, throwing up, not able to keep anything down, and not able to eat at all. Getting sick every single day was exhausting. I went to the emergency room 3 times and had to have 2 procedures to figure out what was happening to me. My hormone balance was way off, and I was miserable. I have never ever heard a story like this. Groaning and crying and throwing up from not taking testosterone. I'm beginning to think she was maybe allergic to something in the testosterone, because you can be allergic to like the oil. Because I actually had to go off testosterone cold turkey a few times, actually. I didn't take testosterone for a couple of weeks at a time or a couple of months at a time because I had to have surgeries, and nothing happened except for maybe my mood was a little off. My testosterone levels dropped very low, but I didn't groan and cry and throw up and go to the emergency room. That didn't happen. But I know a lot of other trans men who had to go off testosterone, and that also didn't happen to them. Don't think that if you stop testosterone, you're gonna be in the emergency room 3 times. After 4 long, exhausting months of being sick every day and losing the 50 pounds, I finally got back to a semi-normal life. I'm now more stable, but my body bears the scars of gender therapy. My voice is still deep, and I look very masculine. I'm now $1,000 poorer due to cost, though that's a fraction of what insurance paid. And because of that doctor's letter that said I'm irreversibly a male, my driver's license is now stuck with a male label. I'll have to appear in court to prove I'm female again. Okay, irreversibly male? That's not true. All you have to do is set a court date, show up in court, bring your birth certificate and say, yeah, it says female, so if you could just change that back, that would be great. And they'll be like, alright, we'll get you a new license within a few weeks. And then you'll be like, alright, that was really easy. This is so dramatic, and it's just really not realistic at all. And next we are going to be reading the best quote out of this entire article. Nevertheless, I'm just thankful to have gotten off this horrible path alive, and before I had any body parts mutilated. People love to use the word mutilated. But let me show you something. Let me show you a picture. Take a look at it. Think what you want for yourself. You see this right here? Does that look like mutilation to you? No. That looks like sex and money. That was actually sculpted by some Greek gods in some random hospital in Massachusetts. Mutilation? Question mark. That's sex. It's insane to me that our society is letting this happen to young people. At age 18, I wasn't even legal to buy alcohol, but I was old enough to go to a therapist and get hormones to change my gender. When you walk into these clinics, you won't really see any older people around. It's boys and girls playing dress up, brought by their clueless parents, waiting for the appointment that could likely ruin their lives. While this can be true, this is also why I'm making this video. If you're struggling with your gender or sexuality, please just be patient with it. Whether you're 13, 25, or 50, you have time. You're always going to have time. Don't be like this person. Don't just go to random doctors and get random letters and just do it just because you think that you need to do it. Don't do that. Look up good specialists. Take your time. Don't just jump right into it if you're not feeling 100%. Don't do that. That's never a good idea with anything. Trans people do exist. They're just a very, very small fraction of the world. Don't let me or anyone else influence you into transitioning just because you think that's what you need to do. I hope I'm not the only one who sees a major problem with this. Our culture has set up a fast track to gender transition that will only result in scarred bodies and ruined lives. And the medical community is complicit. I met with these doctors in person and gave them my own cash. I can tell you they did not care. If anything, I hope my story can serve as a warning bell and save some other young teenager the misery and grief I have been through. Important news flash. Just because you're not transgender doesn't mean other people are not transgender. You had the influence of everyone around you. You had bad doctors, and you just went along with it without thinking in the back of your head. Do I have gender dysphoria? How long have I felt like this? Am I sure I want to become a man? No, you just listened to everybody else because you had self-hatred. Doesn't mean everyone else is going to do that. And that is the ending of the article. What I want to do right now is, if you want to have a discussion in the comments and like talk about trans issues and anything LGBT related, go ahead. I'm going to be in the comments because I think it'll be interesting to see what you guys have to say. So yeah, don't let this article scare you, but I do urge people who are struggling with their gender, do not rush. That is my advice. So yeah, and if you're not trans, thanks for watching. You're really cool. Glad that you're interested in the subject. Anyways, I will see you guys on Sunday with a new video. I love you. Okay, bye. Good night.